J. Berries takes us to a world in turmoil, beginning in 395 CE with the death of Emperor Theodosius I. The empire split between his two sons, one ruling the west from Italy, the other the east from Constantinople. Berry's story ends in 565 CE with Justinian's death, covering 170 years of dramatic change. This era saw the collapse of Roman power in the west and the rise of a new, resilient empire in the east. Berry argues this wasn't just decline, it was transformation. The classical world of Greece and Rome was evolving into medieval Europe and the Byzantine Empire. His book is a detailed account of how one world became another. Through politics, wars, and social upheaval, we witness migrations of Goths and Vandals, the fall of the last Western emperor, and the Eastern Empire's survival. The East built strong walls, a sophisticated government, and a vibrant culture. Berry explains why the two halves of the empire took such different paths. He treats this period, late antiquity, as a bridge between ancient and medieval worlds, full of energy and creativity. Berry introduces us to powerful emperors, clever generals, influential bishops, and ambitious barbarian kings. Through their stories, he brings this distant past to life. His work is a masterful guide to understanding why one part of Rome failed while the other succeeded. The transformation he describes set the stage for the next 1,000 years of European history. J. Berry's approach is both grand and precise, telling the story in chronological order. This lets readers follow the chain of events from the empire's division to Justinian's world. He divides his work into sections, each focused on a specific period or crisis. We see the struggles of Theodosius' sons, the invasions of Alaric and Attila, and the rise of new powers. Berry's structure makes complex history easier to follow, showing cause and effect clearly. He believed history was a science. His job was to present facts, not theories. He lays out evidence, political intrigues, battle strategies, and new laws. This rigorous focus on facts moved the study of this era away from romantic tales to academic history. Yet Berry's writing isn't dry. He creates drama and vivid portraits of the main actors. We feel the panic in Rome, the ambition in Constantinople, and the dilemmas of generals on the frontier. By combining clear structure with narrative storytelling, Berry's work is both scholarly and engaging. He makes you feel like you're witnessing these momentous events. His method set a new standard for historical writing. The result is a work that's as readable as it is authoritative. Berry's storytelling brings the later Roman Empire to life. Berry explains the fall of the Western Roman Empire as a long, complex process. The empire faced relentless pressure from outside. Goths, Vandals, Franks, and Huns all pushed at its borders. The Roman army, once unbeatable, was stretched thin, fighting on multiple fronts. Wars drained the empire of men and money, but internal decay was just as damaging. Corrupt government, weak emperors, and constant political instability. Civil wars and assassinations made unified defense impossible. Economic problems mounted, devastated farmland, unfair taxes, and a shrinking tax base. The government struggled to pay soldiers or rebuild after disasters. Morale collapsed. The ruling class lost confidence and focused on their own survival. The old Roman spirit of civic duty faded. When the last Western emperor fell in 476 CE, it was the logical end of a long decline. For Berry, the West's collapse was the result of military, political, and economic failures converging. It was a perfect storm that the empire could not survive. While the West crumbled, the Eastern Roman Empire thrived. Geography was key. Constantinople's location and massive walls made it nearly impregnable. The East was richer, controlling Egypt, Syria, and Asia Minor, centers of trade and agriculture. This wealth funded a strong army and a skilled bureaucracy. The Eastern government was more centralized and stable, with a tradition of effective administration. Even during weak reigns, the civil service kept the state running. The East avoided the chaos that destroyed the West. Over time, the Eastern Empire developed a unique identity. Greek replaced Latin and Orthodox Christianity became central. This new civilization, the Byzantine Empire, blended Roman traditions, Greek culture, and Christian faith. Berry shows this was not decline but successful transformation. The East adapted, creating a vibrant society that lasted 1,000 years. The story is one of resilience and reinvention. The Byzantine Empire became a beacon of stability in a changing world. Justinian's reign, 527–565 CE, is a highlight of Berry's work. Justinian aimed to restore Rome's lost glory by reconquering the West. His general Belisarius defeated the Vandals in North Africa and fought a brutal war in Italy. These campaigns were epic but costly, leaving Italy devastated. Justinian's gains were temporary. The empire was exhausted and soon lost much of Italy again. Justinian also reformed Roman law, commissioning the Corpus Juris Civilis, a legal code that shaped modern Europe. He was a devout Christian, building grand churches like Hagia Sophia and enforcing religious unity. His reign was marked by ambition, energy, and achievement, but also overreach. The empire grew larger but more vulnerable. Berry sees Justinian's era as both a high point and a warning. It showed the limits of imperial ambition. Justinian's legacy was lasting, but it came at a great cost. His reign pushed the empire to its limits and beyond. Berry highlights Christianity's rise as a profound change in the later Roman Empire. By 395 CE, Christianity was the state religion, replacing the old pagan gods. The church became a powerful institution, with bishops taking on civic roles. Fierce theological debates rocked the empire, often with political consequences. Emperors tried to keep the church united, but divisions deepened, especially between East and West. Christianity reshaped daily life. New calendars, grand churches, and a shift in art and law. The emperor in the East became God's representative, wielding power over religious affairs. This close link between church and state, Caesaropapism, defined Byzantine society. Political and religious identity became inseparable. To be a citizen was to be an Orthodox Christian. Berry shows how faith transformed the empire from the ground up. The church's influence was everywhere, shaping law, culture, and power. Christianity became the heart of the new Byzantine world. The later Roman Empire's story is inseparable from the barbarians. Berry details the complex relationships between Rome and groups like the Goths, Franks, and Huns. For centuries, Romans traded with, hired, and sometimes settled these peoples. In the late 4th and 5th centuries, entire nations like the Visigoths entered the empire seeking new homes. Rome tried to manage them, sometimes fighting, sometimes making deals. Many barbarians became federates, allies who defended the empire but had their own ambitions. The Western army became barbarized, led by generals of Germanic origin. This created instability and suspicion at the top. Eventually, barbarian groups carved out kingdoms in the West, Vandals in Africa, Visigoths in Spain, Franks in Gaul. Often this was a gradual transfer of power, not violent conquest. The new rulers admired Roman culture and blended it with their own. The result was a hybrid world, the foundation of medieval Europe. J. Berry was a pioneer of professional, evidence-based history. He built his account on original sources, historians, laws, letters, and theological writings. Berry was critical and analytical, comparing sources and searching for the truth. He recognized biases like Procopius's conflicting accounts of Justinian. His detective-like method gave his work authority and reliability. Berry's style is clear and precise, with detailed footnotes explaining his reasoning. He rarely speculates, letting evidence guide his conclusions. This transparency set a new standard for historical research. Berry treated late antiquity with the seriousness given to classical Greece and Rome. He showed it was a complex, fascinating era worthy of study. His work became the foundation for all future scholarship on Byzantium. Berry's method changed how historians approach the past. J. Berry's remains a landmark thanks to its detail and commitment to sources. He organized a chaotic era into a coherent story, setting a standard for future historians. Modern scholars may critique his focus on politics and great men, but his work remains indispensable. Today's historians explore new themes: social history, climate, everyday life, but Berry's narrative endures. He saw Rome's fall as a political failure. Modern views emphasize gradual transformation. Yet Berry's big questions, how powers decline, what holds societies together, are timeless. His account of Rome's struggles with immigration, instability, and crisis feels surprisingly modern. Berry's work is a powerful case study in resilience and transformation. It's not just a story of collapse, but of adaptation and survival. The lessons of Rome's transformation still resonate today. That's why Berry's epic still matters.